Could it be? But me, your man, Louie T, welcome to the 2018 NFL Coaching Carousel here on the Louie T Network. Of course, I'm your set man, Louie T. Thanks for joining me on this program. As Black Friday has come and gone, some coaches have been pushed out the door. Others have been told they can stay. Other situations still being decided as we speak, and one that seems to have already been decided is the situation in Tennessee with the Titans. By virtue of their win in Week 17 over Jacksonville, the Titans clinched the sixth and final playoff berth in the AFC. However, it didn't come without a little bit of controversy and turmoil. Here was a Titans team that at 8-4 looked prime and poised to have a showdown in Week 17 with the Jacksonville Jaguars for the divisional crown. They then managed to go out west and lose to the Arizona Cardinals and 49ers in back-to-back weeks, then came home and lost to the Los Angeles Rams for a whopping 3-game losing streak to NFC West teams. That put them in a position where they had to win to get in week number 17. And if they hadn't and found a way to lose 4 straight, finish up at 8-8 and miss the postseason, Mike Mularkey's head essentially would have been on a platter, served up to the masses, and he would have been out as head coach in Tennessee. That was the rumor. Don't know how true it was. We'll never know if that would have happened or not because they won the game. But I'm here to tell you, not so fast, my friends. Just because they made it to the postseason doesn't ensure Mike Mularkey is sticking around at season's end. I've never been a fan of Mike Mularkey, so let me state my position right now. I didn't love the hire when they hired him, but for the sake of continuity and Marcus Mariota having the same play caller and same voice in his ear, they kept Mike Mularkey on, and I like the improvement of this team under Mike Mularkey the last couple of seasons. That being said, they have, to me, plateaued this season. They're not going to get their mojo back. And if they get their ass whooped in Wild Card Weekend at the hands of the Chiefs, Mike Mularkey could still be on the hot seat. Remember, he's a guy that was inherited by GM John Robinson. John Robinson didn't handpick Mike Mularkey as his head coach in Tennessee. He showed up and Mike Mularkey was already there. And so, similar to the situation in Detroit, it wouldn't shock me in the least that if they lost this game, let's say Kansas City puts a 40 burger on the Titans and beats them 40-13, similar to that Thursday night game versus the Steelers that we saw in that ass whooping, Mike Mularkey could get fired. And I feel like Marcus Mariota has regressed under Mike Mularkey this season. You could blame injuries. You could blame whatever you want. I don't like what I've seen from Mariota this year. The run game has been inconsistent at times. I like this defense, but it's not great. They don't get a ton of pressure on the quarterback. This is a football team that could easily use a nice kick in the pants, and maybe a better head coach is the way to achieve that. I don't love their offensive coordinator. I hate talking about legends, but I don't know if Dick LeBeau is the man anymore as a defensive coordinator in this league. I don't know if he still has the juice or not. We'll see. But bottom line is, Mike Mularkey's not out of the woods. And I didn't initially agree with him potentially being on the hot seat, but Marcus Mariota's development, I feel like, has been stunted. And not necessarily because of Mike Mularkey, but it just hasn't, he hasn't taken that next step. I think we all felt like Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota were going to take quantum leaps in year 3. Both of them seem to have regressed just slightly in the case of Winston. I think injuries hindered him a little bit, and maybe a lack of continuity. Maybe the same could be said for Marcus Mariota. A lot of new targets in Tennessee, but he just didn't seem right. You could blame injuries. You could blame the lack of continuity with his targets. You get Corey Davis, but he doesn't play in the preseason and misses some games early on. Blame, look, blame whatever you like. I just didn't like what I saw. And if Mike Mularkey is the fall guy for all of this and they get their ass whooped in Wild Card Weekend, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But we'll see. Honestly, when it's all said and done, push come to shove, I don't think Mike Mularkey's going anywhere, nor does he need to. But if he did, I wouldn't be opposed to it. So we'll see what happens. But I found it fascinating that a 4-game losing streak to finish up this season, despite all the goodwill that Mike Mularkey had done leading up to the week 14 point of the season, he potentially could have been on the hot seat had they lost in week 17 to Jacksonville to finish up on a 4-game skid, 8-8, and missing the postseason. We'll see. He may not, I repeat, may not be out of the woods. I think that playoff berth bought him at least a year, but we'll see. Nonetheless, that's the Tennessee Titans in the coaching carousel. We'll see what happens in Wild Card Weekend with these very Titans, as they're the only team here on this coaching carousel to actually make it to the postseason. It's rare to hear a team who makes it to the playoffs coach in discussion about being replaced, but that's what happens when you go 8-4 to start the season, are in a prime position to win the division, and then barely squeak into the postseason because of a 3-game skid to some teams that you probably had no business losing to in the first place. So we'll see what happens. Nonetheless, I'm your man, Louie T, signing off. More coaching carousel coming your way. Don't go anywhere.